Imagine this, two nations, born from the same ideological struggle, standing side by side in the face of global superpowers, and yet, one turns around and invades the other. Sounds strange, right? But that's exactly what happened between Vietnam and Cambodia in the late 1970s. Why would two communist countries, former allies, suddenly go to war? The answer lies in a dangerous mix of history, ideology, and power. During the Cold War, the world appeared divided into two neat camps: capitalist democracies on one side, led by the United States, and communist states on the other, led by the Soviet Union. While internal disagreements existed, open warfare between nations in the same camp was rare. But in 1978, that fragile unity shattered when Vietnam invaded its fellow communist neighbor Cambodia, a country that had once supported Vietnam's fight against the Americans. To understand why, we need to rewind to the 1960s. Vietnam was split into two, a communist north and a capitalist south. The Vietnam War soon broke out, with the US supporting the South and the Soviet Union and China backing the North. Meanwhile, Cambodia next door was being torn apart by its own civil war, with both North Vietnam and Cambodian communists supporting each other when convenient. After the US withdrew, North Vietnam quickly defeated the South and unified the country under communist rule. Just 2 weeks earlier, a man named Pol Pot overthrew Cambodia's government and created a new communist regime known as Democratic Kampuchea, more infamously remembered as the Khmer Rouge. At first, both governments celebrated their respective victories, but that celebration didn't last long. Historical tensions resurfaced quickly. Cambodia had long resented Vietnamese influence. For centuries, Vietnam had invaded and dominated Cambodian territory. Even during the anti-French resistance, Vietnamese communists had taken the lead, leaving Cambodians feeling sidelined in their own revolution. Then there was the Cold War split between China and the Soviet Union. Vietnam aligned itself with the USSR, while Pol Pot's regime leaned heavily on support from China. This made the region a ticking time bomb, with both countries viewing each other not as comrades but as potential enemies. Pol Pot's paranoia and extremism soon escalated. He launched a massive purge inside Cambodia to purify society, killing ethnic minorities, intellectuals, monks, and anyone seen as disloyal. This horrifying campaign became known as the Cambodian Genocide, claiming around a quarter of the country's population in just 4 years. To unite the country and distract from the chaos, Pol Pot blamed Vietnam, accusing it of planning to invade. By 1978, emboldened by Chinese aid, Cambodia began launching cross-border attacks into Vietnam. But this backfired terribly. Vietnam, with its far superior military, had had enough. In late 1978, it launched a full-scale invasion aimed at removing Pol Pot and installing a more stable, pro-Vietnamese government in Cambodia. The war was swift. Pol Pot's brutal regime collapsed within 2 weeks. Vietnam established a puppet government, hoping the world would recognize the invasion as a humanitarian mission. And many did. After all, Pol Pot's regime was one of the most horrific in modern history. But geopolitics got in the way. China feared a powerful Soviet ally on its southern border and soon retaliated by launching a brief invasion of northern Vietnam. The Western world, still reeling from the Vietnam War, was reluctant to praise Hanoi, even if they just stopped a genocide. Over the next decade, Vietnam found itself bogged down in Cambodia, facing international isolation and guerrilla resistance. Eventually, under international pressure, Vietnam agreed to withdraw. Cambodia underwent reforms under UN supervision, restored its monarchy, and slowly rebuilt into the nation we know today. This episode reveals a powerful truth. Ideology alone isn't enough to hold countries together. History, rivalry, and foreign influence often play a much larger role. In the end, Vietnam and Cambodia weren't just fighting over ideology. They were fighting over power, security, and survival. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold stories from history. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. Was Vietnam justified, or was this just another chapter in a long history of regional domination?